The most obvious thing is the camera itself. In my case, I have the Nikon DSLRs. They're pretty large, full frame. They're nice, but in some situations I want to go as small as possible, as light as possible. So that's a big reason I picked up the Fujifilm X100F, is because it's compact, it has the lens built in, and the control scheme is very simple when you want it to be. You just change the dial, you can go to aperture priority, and it's really just the aperture itself to change. So that works really well in a lot of situations. It isn't ideal in all because of that 35mm equivalent lens, but in many situations it does work well. Probably one of the biggest struggles is controlling light. That usually means bringing something with you to add light or adjust the light as you need. You know, you've got your flash, so a standard flash takes 4 AA batteries. And previous types of flash that I've used, the Yongnuo with an added trigger for wireless, that's an extra 2 batteries for each flash. So we're up to 6 batteries of flash. And chances are, with your photo shoots, you'll probably need at least 2 sets. Really depends on the batteries you're using, but in my case, I would often run out of the one set that I brought for all the flash. And then you'll probably want at least 2 flash. It really depends on your situation. Add up all the batteries, you have to charge those and do everything else. It just turns into a lot of stuff. And then you have to add light stands, light modifiers that go on the stands. It's just a lot of extra bulk to the situation. Now, I really would like to do that type of photography, but it just is really time intensive and a lot of equipment to lug around. One way to get around that is with simple 5-in-1 reflectors. If you have a person or multiple people there helping you, it takes so much away from the hassle because I can get a lot of the light adjustment that I want depending on where we are. If we're in a shaded area, it obviously doesn't work as well. But with those modifiers that you can just pull out and have that person stand where you need them to stand, you don't have to bring a light stand, you don't have to bring any extra modifier besides those 5-in-1 reflectors. You can just hold them and you can adjust them as you need. There are many times I decide to bring the Nikon DSLRs. They are big, but they have a lot of benefits to them. It's kind of counterintuitive, but sometimes I use a dual strap with the 2 cameras so I don't have to change out lenses. Just bring 2 lenses to a photo shoot, one longer focal length, maybe one somewhat wide lens. And it does add bulk to the situation, but it makes it easier. Another thing, I would sometimes just bring a simple 1 camera with 1 lens. In this case, the 50mm lens on full frame is a standard focal length for a reason. It does a lot. It's somewhat wide in situations. It really depends on your framing. You can get a lot of versatility with 1 simple prime lens. Then if you're doing flash photography, you don't have to think about as much in many situations with that 1 simple prime lens. Another thing to consider if you need to use tripods is try to buy multiple types of the same quick release and then have them on multiple cameras if you need to bring multiple cameras, so you don't have to keep changing them out. I've definitely gone through times where I had to switch this, especially with my video stuff, is switching the quick plates multiple times throughout a filming session. It's a big hassle. Also, one thing to consider lighting wise is recently a lot of really nice continuous LED lights with batteries have been coming out, and they can be an alternative to flash, so you don't have any extra batteries to deal with. The batteries inside the light, and they do last an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on what you decide to pick up. So this is potentially a good option for you if you want to check those continuous lights out. And they're easier to photograph with because you don't have to kind of guesstimate or use any type of tools to judge your exposure with flash, because this is just always on. Another thing to consider are bags. I've used various different bags in the past. Backpacks can be a hassle because you have to open up multiple layers of zippers. Of course, it depends on the bag. The Ape Case backpack I've used in the past has 2, 3 zippers that I had to get into the main compartment. So it's good for protection, but it's a big hassle when actually dealing with trying to get stuff in and out of the bag. This is one of my favorite bags, is the in-case sling. I'm not a big fan of slings in general, but they are nice sometimes, pretty much because it has this quick, simple zippered compartment with everything you can access very quickly. You just pull it over your shoulder and it's easy. And then you just pull things out really fast and it works well. It fits a decent amount of equipment. So in a way, this is good to limit the amount of gear I want to bring because it needs to fit in this one smaller bag. The most obvious thing you can do to make your photo session as simple and easy as possible is to push some of that effort into post-processing. I personally don't like doing this as much as I can, but sometimes it really does help, especially if you don't want to bring a lot of lighting equipment. You can adjust things with your editor of choice, do some selective edits to brighten a subject up. Really depends on the situation, but it is an option. So, like I said, it's really not ideal in many situations from my perspective, but it does help.